have that dichotomy, right, where we have negative and positive, and we have the choice. It is absolutely a choice. How are we going to respond in a situation that calls us to respond, right? Are we going to respond with negativity and hurt? Because that has just as much power, right? We are master creators. We can either create love or we could create destruction. We have that choice. So every time we interact with another human being, we have to ask ourselves, how do we want this imprint to be in the ripple effect, in this cosmic tapestry? How do we want our legacy to be?
Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, sharing life-changing personal stories of the transformational impact of deep kindness. Hosted by
Dr. Elia, the happiness doctor,
and Randy McNeely, the kindness giver. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to another episode of the Kindness Factor podcast. I'm Randy McNeely, known as the kindness giver, joined by my wonderful co-host, Dr. Elia Gourgouris, the happiness doctor. And we are so thrilled today to have an amazing lady, Angelique Letizia, joining us in the house. And I want to tell you just a little bit about Angelique. She's the founder of an amazing company called Star Films. She's been creating visually engaging films for over 15 years. She specializes in creating stories that inspire. Notice that she specializes in creating stories that inspire, inform, entertain, and entertain audiences across multiple platforms, including film, television, the web, social media, and so much more. She has a filmmaking degree from the New York Film Academy, as well as numerous awards and nominations for her film projects. Her skills include taking ideas from concept to creation, directing, creating cinematography, writing, producing, editing, and creating content for popular social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, not YouTube Shorts, and Facebook. And there's so much more I could tell you about Angelique, but you know what? We're going to just jump right in to a great conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Angelique.
Thank you for having me.
welcome to the show. And can I tell you something? I read your posts on LinkedIn and I study them. We're bombarded by so much information, and I have a little ADHD too, so my attention span is not the greatest. But when I come across what you have to share, it's really every single time it's thought provoking, and it just makes me think. And it's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You have a very unique way of I think of presenting things, and
Yeah.
it's just really inspirational. So thank you for that. This is on a personal note, so now we can get started
Well,
on that.
I have to say, I totally echo that. I really do. I love reading your posts because they do make you think, and they're written in a way that is totally relatable. I
Right.
mean, I can relate to that. This resonates with me because I've felt that, or I've been there, or I've had these thoughts or feelings. So you're a fantastic writer.
You. Honestly, I'm going to start to cry because I get very emotional. The writing is the best part because my hope when I put it out is that it gives somebody a little hope or inspires them or, makes them feel a little bit less alone. So thank you for that acknowledgement that it's working or at least touching you guys. I appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
even when life is well, and maybe we're not disconnected. I mean, I have and Randy and I have very rich lives in a lot of ways in terms of relationships and connecting with so many people like you do. It's still you present things in such a unique way, and like Randy said, it's practical, it's applicable, and you walk away going, you know, if I kind of like follow this and start doing it consistently, it will definitely improve my life. I mean, it's on that level, and that comes from the heart. I read all kinds of stuff, and a lot of times it goes in one ear, not the other, or I don't even finish the articles because I get bored easily. But with you, I read it from beginning to the end, and sometimes I go back and read it. I'm like let it sink in, Elia. So I can't thank you enough, honestly, for that.
It's something that I just thought of as Elia's talking. It's almost like when and I mean this from my heart. It's almost like when I read your writing, it's like someone is reaching out and stroking my heart, you know, and getting into my mind, into my heart. It's opening me so that I can receive. That's what it does. That's the beauty of the way you write, is it's very thought provoking, and it opens you to other possibilities. And so I'm right there with Elia.
So I think I'm never really like speechless, but I think I'm here. So thank you.
Well, we don't want you to be speechless here because we expect a lot.
I'm gonna talk a lot. I'm gonna definitely talk a lot, but thank you. Honestly, that means a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
And so here's the question of the day.
Okay.
One of the big reasons we do this show is so that we can invite our guests to and give our audience the opportunity to hear what we call inspiring kindness hero stories. We'd like to ask our guests and ask you, who's your kindness hero? Is there someone in your life that has impacted you in such a way that maybe even many years ago, in such a way that it still impacts you today, has driven you to want to be kind, to pay it forward, etc.? Do you have a kindness hero story you'd like to share?
Yes, it's my mom. So my mom, and just I want to say, when one meets my mother, she's very tough, right? So she's got this exterior, strength, but she is a super, super kind-hearted soul. And one of the things about her is, she's the assistant deputy commissioner for the Department of Health in Westchester County. And she got there because she was a speech pathologist, and she helped people with special needs her entire life. Children starting out, and then, adults, etc. But my moment where I really said to myself, wow, this is the impact of kindness, was when Grand Union was actually a thing. We were in a Grand Union and we're shopping, and there was a gentleman who was stacking food.
What's
And
Grand Union? Because I don't know what Grand Union is, so you have to educate me.
it's like the equivalent of a Stop and Shop, like a supermarket.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So, but it was kind of a big thing in the 80s and 90s, and it's kind of disappeared. So yeah, it would be like a Stop and Shop.
Okay.
So he's stacking food, and this gentleman, and it's obvious he's someone with a disability, and he's trying his best, and he drops a couple of things, and he's scrambling to pick it up. And my mom is watching, but she's not, she hasn't said anything. And the manager comes over to this gentleman, and in a really nasty tone just starts to berate him. And obviously I was 8 years old. I can't remember specifics what he was saying, but I remember this guy was so shaken, and you can see it was just getting worse. The more he was being berated, the more nervous he was getting, and he was dropping things, and it was making his situation so much worse. And I watched my mother march over. And when I say march, like march, the forehead, like, right? And she goes right up to the manager, and she just goes at him. You do not speak to people this way. This is a human being. He's trying his best. I'm going to call this, and, rolling out these agencies that she's going to call and report this guy. And the manager is now shaking, and I'm watching, this whole thing turn. Like, first, this man is being berated, and now this guy who was being a bully, if you will, not to overuse that term, is now shaking. And she said, it takes nothing to be kind to people.
And I love that.
That, like, boom. And it was weird because even at 8, it was like, remember this, that feeling that was like, just don't ever forget this. Remember this. Needless to say, she did get that gentleman moved to a different place so that he would be able to work in a different, what's it called, store, or wherever they moved him to.
Different location.
Yeah. I am totally at a loss for words today. But
she used her power and influence to do something good for somebody else, which is, that in itself is an act of kindness, besides letting the manager have it.
And this is another beautiful example. Yeah. And we have these every week with everybody we interview. And this is one of the big purposes for this show, is to help our audience realize, and each of us to come away uplifted with the fact that kindness has that power to open our hearts and let love paint and stick to our hearts in such a way that we remember it decades later.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's beautiful
how
that you're
many years
bringing
has
this
it
up
been?
now. To me, it's beautiful that you're bringing this up, even though you're 80 years old. We're like, what is the impact to an 8-year-old that you're witnessing this on the sideline? Kind of, you're observing your mom do this. How did that impact you, and how have you paid it forward? Because I know you're a kindness ambassador, and
We're going
you
to talk more
epitomize
about that.
kindness. Oh yeah, we'll come back to that. Yeah, but the impact that it had on you at such early age.
Well, I was always somebody who struggled because as a child, we moved, right, from school to school to school, and people were not kind to me. And I noticed that I was reacting from this more defensive place instead of a place of thinking, okay, how do I understand instead of react? Watching my mom defend somebody who was not able to defend themselves made me think, well, if she could do that, I can do that. I don't, I can now reframe the way I operate. And maybe instead of being defensive to people that are um, rude or unkind to me, maybe I can be kind to them and change that energy, change the way they're reacting to me. And so I did that as a child. And sometimes it was to great success and sometimes it wasn't, right? Depending. But as an adult, it was very different. As an adult, I noticed that little things that you would do, passing somebody on the street and randomly complimenting them, which is my favorite thing to do. Going by, paying for somebody, they're struggling. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, no, I'll get your lunch. I'll pay for it. Because that act shows the unity, right? That we're all one, that we're all together. Life isn't easy for any of us, right? And to know that there are humans in this world that are willing to see you, but to really see you, not to judge you, not to make you feel bad, but to see you and say, I got it. I got you, or, hey, you look beautiful today. Love your hair. That's a great outfit. This guy yesterday was wearing shoes that were rainbow, and I thought to myself, I've never seen these. I want them, and they look amazing on this man he was decked out with these rainbow shoes. And he's like, I didn't know if I should buy these or not. He's like, but now I'm like, oh, wow, this was a great decision. So it's
So you tell people on the street, total strangers, you stop them and you pay them a compliment.
yes.
How do they react to that?
Well, some people right away, they're like, thank you. Others are kind of like, whoa, who is this strange woman coming at me? But when it sinks in that they are being complimented, they definitely drop the defenses. And Randall, I believe we talked about one of my favorite, if I can share it with you. Every morning when I walk at like 6 a.m, and there's always people out. And this one particular day, this was at the end of last year, I was walking down the street and I'm passing the church. And there's this woman that comes out and she's beautifully dressed. And I couldn't help myself because I'm like, wow, she looks amazing. So I went up to her and I was like, wow, you look really beautiful. You look amazing. And she was one of those who in the moment kind of, who's this crazy chick coming at me with this random compliment? But she said, oh, thank you. I'm supposed to go on a job interview. I haven't been on a job interview in, 30 years. I'm
Wow.
going on a job interview today and I'm nervous, they're not going to want me. And I said, oh no, they're going to want you. Trust me. You look great. Go in there. You're going to be great. And then, in the back of my mind, I'm like, don't overstay your welcome, Angelique, because then people are really going to think you're crazy. So I said, but you're going to be great. I wish you the best. It's going to happen. So she goes her way. I go mine.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. We sincerely appreciate you. My friends, I firmly believe that every one of us has an inner kindness hero that is just waiting to be released every day. I'd like to give you a pathway for releasing yours. How? By helping us to flood the earth with as much kindness as possible, to create a global kindemic that spreads love, hope, and happiness. Like and subscribe to each of our social media channels listed in the description, and take out a subscription through Buzzsprout for as little as $10 per month. You can help us to continue to spread the kindemic by bringing you great content here and taking our transformative kindness message to a much broader global audience through the Kindness Factor Human Interest series. Release your inner kindness hero today. Thank you for your support.
2 weeks later, coming back down, and I see this same woman outside the church. And she says, I have been waiting here for you every day for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And she goes, you remember me? She's like, you told me that I look beautiful. I was going for my job. I said, yes, of course I remember you. And you look beautiful today too. So she proceeds to tell me how she got the job. But she tells me that when she got to the train, she kept hearing my voice say, you look so beautiful. You got this. You can do it. And she said, and I walked in there and I thought, yes, I'm going to get this job. Well, she was going after that job because her granddaughter wants to go to college. Her son lost his job. They didn't have the money. They're like struggling. He's struggling to get a job. The wife was struggling to get a job. We're in those kind of times, unfortunately. And so she said, what about me? Let me see what I can go get, what I can do, rip out my old resume. And this particular opportunity had come to her through, a random friend, etc. So she went for it and she got it. Her name's Shelly. And she said to me, I have been waiting, and I kept saying I would go to church and say, Jesus, let me run into that woman again. And she said, I did this every day. She said, I today was the day. So I thought to myself, I may have made her day, but she just made mine.
For sure.
Right. And the fact that the one little act of complimenting somebody then gave the confidence for that person to walk in the door, get the job that then changes the life of this person, that person. So I'm not saying that that's just me, right? But the ripple effect of how we, inspire someone else. That's the power of kindness. Right?
I think we need to nominate Shelley for Grandmother of the Year.
Yeah.
And at the very least, give her a kindness citation.
Yeah. Oh, she deserved it. And she was, happy to do it. And I got, her whole life story. But she said, I stand up a little taller every day. And when I look in the mirror, she goes, I see your
That's
face.
like right here in the heart, man. That is so beautiful. What a great story. And so simple, right? So simple, but look at the ripple effects.
Did it, and what did that cost you? What did it cost you? The only thing it cost you was a little bit of time to take the opportunity to compliment her. I was reading an article just recently about this foundation that is doing all these things to try to improve public health. And the reality is, nowhere in there, I was interested, nowhere in there did they talk about any kind of kindness initiatives. And the beautiful thing is, if people would get in communities, would get more engaged in doing service projects, kindness activities, other things like that, it would be, I can guarantee you, there would be an uptick in public health in that community. Because as people start thinking about others, forgetting about themselves, getting out of themselves and serving other people, there would be an uptick in the feeling of goodness, kindness, caring in that community, and an overall uptick in public health. I don't have any study of my own to prove that, but there's been multiple studies that have shown those kind of things. And you've just given us a perfect example of how that simple act of kindness made a difference in this lady's life. I want to throw something out there, though. It's something that Elia said. He brought up we should give her a kindness citation. And that is a perfect segue into asking you about something that you've recently gotten involved in. It was recently announced by Kindness Worldwide, a wonderful nonprofit organization that we are proud to be partnered with, that you are serving as a Kindness Worldwide ambassador in your area. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you got connected with Kindness Worldwide and why you decided you wanted to do that?
So I was connected through Kevin Smith, the founder and Kindness Chaser. He had found me on LinkedIn. So he was following a lot of my journey there, and he was posting there, and we were going back and forth. And I could see a little bit of his story, etc. And one of these days, he posted something in a comment and alluding to the ambassadorship for Kindness Worldwide. And I wrote back, oh, that would be amazing. What a wonderful thing. And that kind of spiraled from there, where we ended up getting on a call. He told me more about his organization and what he had aspired to do and what they were doing and how he would like me to be involved. And I thought, wasn't that nice? Here's an organization that's mission is to spread kindness. That's mission is to change the narrative from this, me, to a we. And I thought, yeah, this is something that I am totally in alignment with and would love to be a part of, especially at its, infant stages as it starts to move out into the world, to be able to help push it out there and bring it to whatever communities need it. I know our community could certainly benefit from some more kindness, doing a kindness week or a kindness day, or it's cool to be kind is the campaign that they've been launching recently. So yeah, I was really excited about this opportunity, and I am one who loves to work with organizations, charities, etc., and I've done this for a large part of my career. So this was an opportunity to do something on a different level with it.
The thing is that, Angelique, you're an ambassador before you became an ambassador. Like you're a walking, talking, acting, and sharing with your kindness. So yeah, this is a natural fit with Kindness Worldwide, and they're so delighted to have you on board. Thank you for all you do, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, behind the camera, in front of the camera. You just emanate goodness, you know that? And I know a little bit of your story, and it hasn't always been easy, but you've chosen to look at the light, really. And you've overcome a lot in your life, and the fact that you're just such a shining example to me is so beautiful. Like your countenance, your energy, your desire to do good, and I just love the story with Shelley. I think that exemplifies. I know there are hundreds of stories like that you have. And you're being rather modest, but that exemplifies that. Number one, with kindness, everybody wins. Like you said, you made her day as she wanted to do that interview and aced it and crushed it. But then she made your day. And how cute is it that for a grandmother to be waiting for you to pass by the church every day for 2 weeks? Like that to me is just so sweet, right? And she finally got you. It's so sweet.
And how much faith she had that she was going to,
Well,
and
think about it. Think about that. The fact that she was willing to do that, she was just sitting there waiting for 2 weeks. That tells you right there how big the impact was that you had on her. I mean, think about this. You're never going to forget that experience, are you? And she's never going to forget that experience. And I can guarantee you that her family, her grandkids, everybody that knows her and her family has heard that story. I can guarantee you they have. And they will share it. It will impact them. That's the beautiful thing about what you were talking about earlier, about the ripple effect, about the way that kindness just works its way out. It's beautiful.
Because we have that dichotomy, right, where we have negative and positive, and we have the choice. It is absolutely a choice. How are we going to respond in a situation that calls us to respond, right? Are we going to respond with negativity and hurt? Because that has just as much power, right? We are master creators. We can either create love or we could create destruction. We have that choice. So every time we interact with another human being, we have to ask ourselves, how do we want this imprint to be in the ripple effect, in this cosmic tapestry? How do we want our legacy to be? That we're screaming at somebody on the street? So what? Somebody cuts you off in the car. Do you have to flip them the bird, or could you just be like, go for it? Take your space. It's all good. Somebody bumps into you. Do you have to scream at them, or can you be like, it's okay, no worries? I think it's a choice. Kindness is a choice. But what I love that you guys are doing and Kindness Worldwide is doing is it's highlighting it and saying this is the choice and educating people on how to make that choice, because that's not something that we're always seeing. We're not seeing kids constantly being taught, except in other countries. Japan is actually great at teaching kids manners and respect and kindness, right? But here it's not always the same.
We have a ways to go in this country to get to that point, and I think we need to emulate Japan and other countries who, are happier than we are here in America, and there's a reason for that. It's because of that social connectivity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our time is almost up, so we'd like to always end asking our guests and asking you, Angelique,
Yeah.
3 pearls of wisdom, like 3 takeaways for our audience. I know you have more than 3. So, but
she just shared some with us. So.
Well, I think one of them, the kindness is a choice. I think that counts as number 1. Kindness is a choice. In other words, it's not a random act of kindness. You going out and complimenting people and seeing the good in people on the street, that's a conscious decision that you made a long time ago, and you're doing it. Okay, give us a couple more then.
Okay. Okay, so kindness is a choice. Don't let your past, if it was negative or etc., shape who you are negatively. Put out love. Even if people have broken your heart, a heart that is open will always find a way to radiate light. Even if there's cracks in it. And I think, Dr. Elia, we spoke about this, and the if everything's together, the light can't show, but the cracks is where the light comes through.
I love that. That's one of the most beautiful visualizations, actually. Yes.
Yeah. So don't think that because you were broken or you had something bad happen in your life that you're not worthy of A, receiving kindness, or B, giving it. And when you make that choice, understand that your past doesn't define, right? You can make a difference in everybody's life by making everybody's life better. And how do you make it better? Be kind.
That's it. Thank you so much. What a pleasure. Yeah, we could have talked to you for another hour easily.
So you're so wonderfully easy to talk to, Angelique, and to echo what Elia said earlier, we both know that you've been through some real challenges, and the beautiful thing about you, Angelique, is that rather than allowing those challenges to crush you, you've used them as stepping stones to build a better life and as launching points to help other people build a better life. And you're a catalyst for good. And so we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We want to thank our audience. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, to watch, or from wherever you may be hearing this. And I want to invite you to take some time to stop and think, what did I learn today? How is it applicable to me? And what am I going to do about it? I can promise you, as you do those things and really seek to apply what you've learned, your day and your life will be better. And
one more thing, actually, for Angelique, how can our audience get in touch with you? Yeah, just kind of.
How does our audience get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, they can definitely, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So if they're on LinkedIn, please feel free to follow me. And if they needed, there's always an email, they can email me.
Okay. Are you on other social media platforms, Instagram?
I'm on all of them. They can find me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram. I'm on all of them. Yeah. So they can. follow me
Great.
there.
And we'll make sure that all that's in the description. So fantastic.
But believe me, follow her on LinkedIn and just read her posts. Your day and your life will change as a result of that. Yeah, and that's
Amen to that.
amen to that. Seriously, it's not an exaggeration. Just trust us and see what happens. She's that good, really.
Thank you
Again,
so
thank you very much for listening. And remember, with kindness,
Everybody wins.
wins.